Here to talk about social media's unprecedented impact on the 2024 election, podcaster and content creator Mal Glowinski, RNC Youth Advisor Council Chair Brilyn Hollyhand, comedian and creator Elizabeth Booker Houston, and President of Teen Pro-Lifers Felipe Avila. Thank you all so much for taking the time on this Sunday. Really important here to talk about this. Brilyn, I want to start with you. You spearheaded the RNC's effort to invite a swath of creators to the convention. What motivated you to do this, and do you think it had the effect that you wanted it to have?
Oh, it absolutely did. Happy Sunday. Thanks for having me. When I was appointed as chair of the RNC's inaugural Youth Advisory Council, I sat down and met with President Trump, and I told him to win Gen Z voters, win first-time voters like myself, he had to reach out to us where we are, and that's online. That's through social media. So we did that. 2 weeks after that conversation, President Trump launched a TikTok account. That TikTok account is now the fastest growing account in the platform's history, and we wanted to back that up. We wanted to do a creator program. So we launched that, and we started around the debates, the last primary cycle, and had our candidates interact with about 120 content creators. We continued that in Milwaukee this summer at our convention, had 120 content creators invited out, and it was really cool. The numbers were through the roof, and we got to give Gen Z, a generation that probably didn't even know debates or conventions were even happening that week, a front row seat to democracy in action. It was cool to be a part of a first of its kind thing, and history happened.
Mel, you were invited to the DNC as a creator and host of podcast and new series, Made It Out to the Polls, to bring political conversations to your audience. What was the DNC experience like for you? And do you agree with Brilyn that this is really having an effect?
Yes, the DNC was unlike anything I'll probably ever do in my life. It was absolutely incredible. It really motivated us to get out there and speak to our audience about this election. I think you really have to meet voters where they are. Our lives are busy. We don't have the time to be researching and, looking up all of this information. So I think if you have a trusted audience that listens to you every week, then you have a responsibility to provide them accessible, digestible information. And that's what we've tried to do with our series.
And Elizabeth, you're predominantly a comedian, but in addition to cracking jokes, you're also creating these political explainers. So tell me what motivated you to make those kind of videos, and what's been the response for you?
Sure. So actually full-time by day, I'm a lawyer here in the DC area. And what my specialty was leaving law school is I'm a JD and PH, meaning I have my Juris Doctor, my Master of Public Health. And when COVID hit, my specialty was public health law, dealing with epidemics, pandemics, isolation, quarantine, all of that sort of thing. Very niche area that I never expected to actually be relevant. So I started posting on TikTok to just get information out to people about things like emergency use authorizations and interpretations of the law. And everything kind of took off from there. And I brought the comedy into it because when you make things funny, when you make it entertaining, when you give it to people in a digestible edutainment format, it makes them more engaged and also more likely to understand very complex concepts. I know I recently posted a video that's almost 6 minutes long on TikTok and Instagram that does a very deep dive into what substantive due process is and how that came about with the Dobbs case. And it's got a ton of engagement and a lot of lay people who are understanding substantive due process and very, very intricate legal concepts, because I was able to give them a video that broke everything down in a very understandable way.
Elizabeth, before I move on to Felipe, I just want to, that's really fascinating, 6 minutes, because it's not your usual amount of time in that format. With your legal expertise, how amazed were you that you received that kind of feedback?
I was pretty surprised. It happened before with an almost 10-minute video talking about the Voting Rights Act and the Supreme Court decision, where there was a ton of engagement on that one as well. And I think it just goes to show that when I'm able to engage with my audience and I'm able to give a certain level of credibility to my audience with the shorter form videos, that means they're going to stick around for the longer form videos when I do put those out and give them a little more information. And so, I was hopeful that it would trend well, but I, wasn't 100% sure if it would. So I was very pleasantly surprised when it did.
All right. And Felipe, social media, how has it helped you and your organization spread your message to Gen Zers and to all your followers?
Absolutely. Social media really is our megaphone, and it's how we reach young people directly where they are, as someone mentioned earlier. And abortion really is front and center in this election cycle, and we want to reach people. We want to break open the echo chamber and really share with people what abortion is, but also to energize and mobilize this next generation of pro-life leaders who are passionate about the issue of social justice and abortion.
All right, I want to do a quick round robin with you all before we wrap up. And it's a question that I think a lot of people think about when they talk about social media. It's this question of authenticity. And I'm wondering, have you seen candidates lean into authenticity on social media in a way which you believe will impact the election results come Tuesday? Not just, being a part of it, but actually being a part of it in an authentic way. Brilyn, let's start with you.
Yeah, I totally think so. So part of what we did with Trump's account is we wanted him to kind of film these videos himself, hold the phone up, like a selfie style video, and get his message out for free, like we said, like a 15, 30-second video on our For You page. We've done this. Now, the second part of that is converting the viewers into voters and making sure actually people go out and vote from watching that video. The second part is me visiting college campuses. I visited 8 college campuses in the past 4 weeks alone. The simple message we've heard from the students on these campuses is the same thing that your polling's reflecting. 74% of voters out there are frustrated with the current state of things. It's reality that in Kamala Harris's America, it's harder for my generation to buy a home, start a family, even fill up a gas tank. Attaining the American dream, something we want. Authenticity is what's bringing that. That's why we're voting for Trump on Tuesday, and I hope my generation does the same.
All right, and Mal?
Why Kamala is running a brilliant campaign. She's on social media, she's having fun, she's meeting people where they are, and you're really getting to see her personality shine through. And I think that's what it's going to take to win this election.
Felipe?
Oh, yes, I think social media today really is the front line of activism, and the fact that so many candidates are coming, to platforms like TikTok and Instagram, that really shows the amount of power that Generation Z and young people have. And really, social media has become the front lines, and we are, we're a force to be reckoned with. And I think it's incredible that we're seeing candidates like Kamala Harris and Donald Trump reaching young voters directly where they are.
And Elizabeth, how about you?
Yeah, I do think that we're seeing a higher level of authenticity from politicians, especially with the rejection of respectability politics. This idea that you have to speak a certain way. As folks may know, a lot of my content, I cuss, I talk very plainly, and you can reject that and have a better connection with people. I think Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is a phenomenal example of this and the movement that she has started. And I know when I interviewed her on the Reproductive Freedom Tour bus in Waukesha, Wisconsin, we were able to talk very plainly and very authentically to the audience, and it just really resonated with people.
Well, the power of social media. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it. You can also see highlights from our shows on social media